Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Sundays with the Librarian workshop. And tonight, we're going to be covering a relatively new source that we have through our library called APA Academic Writer. My name is Cynthia Kane. I am the librarian liaison for psychology and for counselor education, as well as for the School of Library and Information Management. You can always reach me if you have any questions about academic writer or just about research in general by emailing me at ckane1, that's a numeral 1, at emporia.edu. So in this workshop, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what Academic Writer is all about, how to log in, how to use it to create references, write your papers, and so forth. So what I'm going to do first is actually start back over here at this page. And I'm going to show you, even though I already have the University Libraries and Archives page up and running, the first thing I'm actually going to show you is how to get to the library's webpage directly, just in case you've never had a chance to do that before. If you go to www.emporia.edu/library, this will take you directly to the University Libraries and Archives webpage. So what we're going to do tonight is go ahead and click on Databases. And then once you go to the databases list, it's very easy to find Academic Writer. Just scroll down a little bit, and there's your link for Academic Writer from the American Psychological Association. One reason that we really encourage people to use Academic Writer is that it is actually directly from APA, the American Psychological Association. So if you've ever used any sites before, like the OWL at Purdue site for APA or anything else that's out there, those are good sites to use for quick questions about APA style. But the problem is that they're not actually from APA. So you're not really getting actually vetted information when it comes to APA style. So once you get here to APA Academic Writer, you can just go ahead and click on Academic Writer. If you're off campus, you will probably be asked to enter your ESU, your username and password first to authenticate you as coming in off campus as an ESU student. And then the next page you'll see is Academic Writer. Now, the next thing you want to do here is something that's not really that obvious on the screen. You do have to have an account with Academic Writer before you can do anything else in terms of writing an APA style. So we're going to click up here on Welcome and log in. And you can create an account if you've never actually done Academic Writer before by just clicking on this link, and it will just ask you for some information. You do want to use your emporia.edu or g.emporia.edu account because this is an Emporia State University database. And once you've done that, you should be good to go. And I have an account already with Academic Writer, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. We'll let that log me in, and then it says, Welcome, Cynthia, on top of the screen. The one thing I should note about Academic Writer is that it is only for APA, American Psychological Association style. So if you ever have to use another style for writing papers, such as MLA or Chicago Manual of Style, Academic Writer really isn't going to support that. However, if you're in a discipline that actually does require APA for your citation style, Academic Writer is really going to be a lifesaver. So there are three centers when it comes to Academic Writer: Learn, Reference, and Write. I'm going to show you about each of these centers in turn. So let's go to the Learn Center first. The Learn, or the Learning Center, is where I go if I have a really quick question about how to do a reference or how to set up something in an APA style paper, such as an appendix or reference pages or something like that. And the great thing about the Learning Center is that you can pretty much choose what you need. So for example, if I go to Quick Guides, I actually compare these to going on YouTube and looking for a quick video on how to do something. These are very much like quick YouTube videos. You can browse by topic or by title. So if I needed a quick APA video on the mechanics of style, such as capitalization, quotation marks, I could go to that. If I needed some quick videos on how to set up a reference list, and maybe a quick refresher on how to do a book chapter or a book reference, I can watch a quick video on that as well. Or you can go up here and search the Learning Center for a topic. I'm going to search appendix, and the reason I'm doing that is that not too long ago, I was writing an article for a library science journal, and it was requiring APA style, and I had 2 appendices that I needed to put at the end of the paper, and I really needed to figure out how those needed to be formatted. So all I did was just go here to Academic Writer, and I searched on appendices, and I was able just to watch a quick video on that and got exactly what I needed. I'm going to go ahead and close this because there are other things that are available in the Learn Center. So if we go back over here, there are longer tutorials as well. So if you need something a little bit longer, such as how to set up a paper or the correct type of language to use, you can go to longer tutorials on writing and publishing. But over here, this is another thing that I love with the Learning Center. So I might need to see a sample paper in APA style, because sometimes you may have professors who want you to write something very specific, such as a case study or a literature review. I've been working with some students lately that have been having to write literature reviews. So if I click on literature review paper, I can actually see what a sample paper would look like, how this should be set up in terms of a literature review. The introduction, definitions of a term, and then if I scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you can see they have quite a few references here. I can see how the references should be set up as well. And again, that's just something that's really handy to be able to do as far as Academic Writer is concerned. One more thing you can do in the Learn Center is also go to sample references. So I might need to see, believe it or not, I might need to actually cite a Wikipedia article in my paper. So when I click on Archived Entry in Wikipedia, this gave me a sample reference of the way a Wikipedia article should be cited in APA style. And again, this is coming directly from APA, so you know this is accurate. So that's a little bit of what you can do with the Learn Center. The second center is reference. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with this because there are some really neat things that you can do with the Reference Center. So the Reference Center is actually used for setting up your references or a bibliography in APA style that you can later integrate in the third center, the Write Center, which we'll be looking at next. I like to go to Add References. And what I'm doing right now, and I should mention at this point, since I'm logged in as myself, anything that I save in Academic Writer, such as references or a paper in the Write Center, it's actually saved in my account in the cloud in Academic Writer. So it's actually very similar to using Google Drive and writing a paper and saving that in Google Docs. So it's not going to go away. It's accessible wherever you have a computer, so you can log onto your account with Academic Writer wherever you happen to be, and you can access your references and also access your papers anywhere. So there are a couple of things you can do with the Add References. If you have, and notice I clicked on Journal Article here, if you have a print copy of a journal article and you need to set that up as a reference or a citation, you can click on Create a Reference and then click on whatever style you need, a book chapter, journal article, whatever. And you can start typing in your information. So if any of you have ever used anything online like a citation machine or RefWorks or anything like that, this is very similar to it. It will set this up. Notice it does have a nice template here, and you can put in the author's names, the year of publication, the title of the article, the journal name. If you needed an abstract, you could put that in there as well. And once you're done, you would click on Add to My References. And we're going to come back in just a second and show you why adding to your references is actually very important. There's another way, though, that you can add references. This is actually my favorite way. So I'm going to actually go back now to this tab for the A to Z list of databases. And I'm going to go into the PsycInfo database. This will work, though, with pretty much every database that we have. I want to show you a little tip here. So I'm going to go into PsycInfo. And I'm doing my search in PsycInfo for a topic. I'm going to go to Advanced Search. And I'm just going to say right now, I just want to pull up a few references for an example. I might be interested in the topic of art therapy and the use of mandalas. This is a big thing that's actually used in art therapy, and I've actually helped a lot of students do research on this subject. And when I click on search, I got 39 references. I'm not actually going to look at the references right now because I'm more focused on what you can do at this point once you do this search. I do want you to pay attention to something over here. Notice where this says EBSCOhost. File that in the back of your mind because you're going to need this in just a second. So if I am interested in some of these articles or references, I'm actually clicking right now on these folders, the folder icons, because I want to go back up here now either to folder, where folder has items, or to folder view. Either one will work. And now I want to go to something called export. What I'm doing right now is exporting these references in a file that's going to be called an RIS format. And this simply means that this will be a format that will actually talk in just a second to Academic Writer. So I'm going to save these citations. And of course, if you're doing this on your own computer, you need to remember where they're actually being saved. These are probably going in the Downloads folder. And now we'll go back to Academic Writer. I now want to import those exported references in APA style to Academic Writer. So I'm going to click on Add References. Now I'm going to go to Import. And remember what I said just a second ago, that I needed to pay attention to the fact that this was an EBSCOhost database. This will ask you where your citations are coming from. They're coming from PsycInfo, but they're actually coming from a database vendor called EBSCOhost. So I need to select EBSCOhost. And now I'm going to choose my file. And my file went in Downloads. It was called Delivery. It's usually what it's going to be called. We're going to open this and submit it. And now when I view my imported records, those 5 records that I selected from PsycInfo and I exported as an RIS file are now in my references. This is going to become important in just a second. I could use my references right now if I had to do something such as turn in an annotated bibliography to my professor. These actually came over too in APA style. Now, I do need to check these rather carefully. It looks like these are going to be correct so far. Every once in a while, though, you might have records that you import from a database into Academic Writer that may have some errors. So, for example, they may have words capitalized in the article title that need to be in lowercase. So you do need to look at that and see if there's anything that you might need to correct. And you can always correct something by going over here to Edit Reference. These are looking pretty good so far, though. The reason that we imported these references is that now this is going to become pretty important when we go to the third center right. This is probably one of my favorite ones. So again, if you've ever written a paper in Google Docs, this is very, very similar to that, but it does a lot more. In Academic Writer, in the right center, you can click on Write a New Paper, and you can select a template for a specific type of paper that your professor may have assigned to you. So again, if you needed to write a literature review or a case study, or a reaction paper, you could select that template specifically for that. If you don't have a specific format that your professor wants you to follow, you'll be fine probably on just selecting basic paper. And most of the time, you're going to say that you want to use this as a student assignment. If you needed to add an abstract to your paper, if your professor required it, you can always go back and add that. But most of the time, the student assignment will be perfectly fine for what you need. So we'll click on Submit. And I can now start entering the title of my paper. I can edit this at any point. So this is going to be the use of mandalas in art therapy, since that's the topic that I'm working on right now. And I can start writing. Like I said, this is actually my favorite part. You can actually get online help too whenever you need that, or you can just start writing. Notice here that this looks very similar to a Microsoft Word document or a Google Docs document. I am going to caution you here. There are some things that are not available in the Right Center in Academic Writer. It does not have a grammar check. So in Microsoft Word, you can get that little squiggly line underneath a word. If it looks like something is incorrect grammatically or if the spelling is wrong, you're not really going to get that with Academic Writer. It's just not necessarily set up for that. But in a second, I'm going to show you how you could download your paper into Microsoft Word if you wanted to run it through a grammar check or run it through an online program such as Grammarly one more time, and you could certainly do that as well. I have my title page here, and this will go ahead and auto-save just like Google Docs does as well, so you don't have to worry about saving as you go along. This is already set up automatically in Times New Roman 12-point font, and it will double space, and it has 1-inch margin, so you don't have to change anything on that. And as I mentioned, there's a little bit of a spell check there, but you also might want to run that through Microsoft Word just to make sure that you've caught everything. Over here, I can start adding sections. So I might want to add a section called Introduction. And then I might want to add another section here, and we'll call this one Literature Review. And I'm going to add one more section. And I'm just going to call this one Results of Mandalas. Again, you can rename any of this at any point. And as I start writing, notice that it went back over here. I didn't even have to change the center back to the left justified. I can just go ahead and just start typing here. So I'm going to start typing just an introductory sentence because now I want to show you how the references are going to work. Remember those references that I imported from the Reference Center, the ones that I imported from PsycInfo. Notice I'm just making something up here. In art therapy for all ages and audiences. We're now going to go over here to references. And I don't have any references yet because I have not added them. I'm going to go now to add new references. And here are my references down here. I might want to go ahead and add all of those to my paper. And if I click on this one and click on Create Reference, yes, I do want to proceed. Now I'm going to go back over here to my Right Center, go back to my saved papers, because notice that what I created has already been saved. So I can go back over here, and now it's loading my document. And I want to go ahead and cite this one. So I'm going to click on this first one and click on Cite. And usually you're doing a parenthetical or an in-text citation. You can actually select if you're doing something that is a direct quote from your article or if it's a paraphrase. This is not going to be a direct quote. I'm going to say that this might be a paraphrase, and we'll click on Submit. And you see what it did there? Wherever I left my cursor, I was able to go down here after I added my references, and I clicked on Cite. I'm going to do that again. Choose if I'm doing more of a parenthetical citation, which most of us are going to be doing, and whether it's a direct quote or not, and then click on Submit. And that will add your reference for everything that you've added here, wherever you have your cursor. And I love that because I don't have to type all that out. It's just right there. I can preview my paper at any point. There's my title page. And we're going to go to the next page. That's what I already did. And if we go to the last page, all the references that I added to my list are there, and they're in alphabetical order. Finally, we'll go back over here to edit. There's a lot more that you can do in this center. Again, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the way Academic Writer can work. If I'm done with my paper, or if I want to download it into Microsoft Word to run it through Grammarly or another type of grammar check, I click on File and Export. And I can export this paper either as a Word document, or if I'm pretty satisfied with it, if I like it, I can export it then as a PDF. And then I can go ahead and submit it to my professor in Canvas, or however else I would need to submit that. And again, everything that I've done here has been saved. As I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and click on Home Now. That was a very quick overview of Academic Writer. There's a lot more that you can do with this. Again, I'm Cynthia Kane, and you can always reach me at ckane1@emporia.edu. I would be more than happy to work with you in person, or if you're a distance education student, I would also be very happy to set up a Zoom appointment with you, just like we're doing tonight through Zoom, and then we can work through some more details of using Academic Writer. But I hope this is really useful for you. Thank you, and good luck.